My wife's book club turned out to be something completely different, and now my entire life is unraveling. I need to get this off my chest because I genuinely don't know what to do anymore, and I can't talk to anyone in my real life about this without everything exploding. I'm sitting in my car outside a Denny's at 11 p.m. writing this because I can't go home yet. My hands are shaking. For context, I've been married to my wife, Sarah, for 7 years, together for 10. We have a 5-year-old daughter, Emma. Until 3 weeks ago, I thought we had a great marriage. Not perfect, whose is, but solid. We communicate, we laugh together, we still have regular date nights. Sarah's a high school English teacher, I'm a software engineer. We're comfortable, maybe a little boring, but happy. Or so I thought. About 8 months ago, Sarah started a book club. She'd go out every Thursday evening, come home around 10 p.m. smelling like wine and smiling. She seemed happier, more energized. I was genuinely thrilled for her. Sarah had been feeling isolated since Emma was born. Mom groups weren't her thing, and most of her college friends had moved away. She needed something that was just hers, you know? Adult time with other women who liked reading. I actively encouraged it. Sometimes she'd mention the books they were reading. The Silent Patient, Where the Crawdads Sing, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Standard book club fare. She'd tell me funny stories about the other women. Jennifer, who kept making inappropriate comments about the sexy parts. Melissa, who only watched the movie versions. Amy, who took everything way too seriously. It all seemed normal. Then 3 Thursdays ago, Emma had a fever. Sarah was already at book club when Emma started throwing up. I called Sarah, no answer. Texted, no response. I wasn't angry, she probably had her phone on silent. But Emma was crying for mommy, and I was worried enough that after I got her settled and my mom came over to watch her, I decided to drive to the wine bar where Sarah said they met. The wine bar she'd told me about was closed. Not closed for the night, permanently closed. According to the guy at the Thai restaurant next door, it had been shut down for nearly a year. I sat in my car, confused. Had I gotten the name wrong? I called Sarah again. Still no answer. I texted. Emma's sick, need you to come home. Nothing. It was 9:30 p.m. She finally called back at 10:15, apologetic and concerned about Emma. She said she'd been in the bathroom and hadn't heard her phone. She was home in 20 minutes, the perfect worried mother, smelling like wine and wearing lipstick that looked freshly applied. I didn't confront her that night. Emma needed us, but I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that closed wine bar. The next morning, casually over coffee, I asked, "Hey, what's the name of that place where you guys meet again? I was thinking of taking you there for date night." "The Reserve," she said without hesitation. "Why?" "Just curious. What street is it on?" She looked at me strangely. "Maple and 3rd. Are you okay?" Maple and 3rd. Exactly where the closed wine bar had been. That's when I knew something was very, very wrong. I want to be clear. I'm not a jealous person. I've never been the type to check phones or demand passwords. In 10 years together, I'd never suspected Sarah of anything. The thought of an affair honestly didn't even cross my mind at first. I thought maybe she was embarrassed about where they were actually meeting. Like maybe it was someone's house and she felt weird about it? Or maybe she was doing something else entirely on Thursday nights, therapy, or a class she was embarrassed about. But I couldn't let it go. That weekend, while Sarah took Emma to the park, I did something I'm not proud of. I went through her laptop. Her email was already logged in. I searched, book club. Nothing. No emails about any book club. No group chat invitations. No calendar invites. No Amazon orders for books. I checked her credit card statements, joint account, so not technically snooping, I told myself. Every Thursday for the past 8 months. Charges at various restaurants. Upscale places. The most recent was at a steakhouse downtown. A $180 charge split between 2 cards. 2 cards. She was meeting someone and they were splitting expensive dinners. My stomach dropped. Okay, so it was an affair. That was the obvious explanation, right? Part of me almost felt relieved to have a clear answer. But something still felt off. If you're having an affair, you usually try to spend less money, not more. You meet at cheap motels, not restaurants with $180 bills. And why the elaborate book club story? Why not just say she was working late or meeting a friend? I made a decision. That Thursday, I was going to follow her. Thursday came. Sarah kissed me goodbye at 6:45 p.m., grabbed her purse, told Emma to be good for daddy. Normal routine. I watched her get in her car and pull out of the driveway. My mom was already on her way over to watch Emma. I told her I had a last-minute work thing. The lie tasted bitter. I followed Sarah's car at a distance, feeling like a character in a bad thriller movie. She drove downtown, parked at a meter near the theater district. I parked a block away and followed on foot. She was wearing a blue dress I'd never seen before, heels, more makeup than usual but not dramatically so. She looked beautiful and confident and like a stranger. She walked into an Italian restaurant, the kind with cloth napkins and a wine list. Through the window, I watched her scan the room, smile, and walk toward a booth. She was meeting a woman about our age, blonde, stylish, who stood up and hugged Sarah warmly. They sat down across from each other, ordered wine, started talking animatedly. They looked like old friends catching up. I stood on the sidewalk, completely confused. Was Sarah gay? Questioning? Having an emotional affair with a woman? None of this made sense with the Sarah I knew, but then again, I apparently didn't know Sarah at all. I couldn't stand there all night like a creep, so I walked back to my car. I sat there for 3 hours, mind racing through every possibility. At 10:15, Sarah emerged with the blonde woman. They hugged goodbye on the sidewalk. Sarah walked to her car alone, checked her phone, probably seeing my "How's book club" text, and drove away. I went home. Sarah arrived 20 minutes later, cheerful, asking about Emma. I said book club was good, she said it was great, we'd finished discussing Circe. She went upstairs to shower and I sat on the couch, feeling like I was losing my mind. I couldn't keep this in anymore. The next day, Friday, I called my brother Tim. Tim's a therapist, level-headed, not judgmental. I told him everything. Man, he said after a long pause, I don't think she's having an affair. Then what the hell is she doing? I have no idea. But the public restaurant, the woman friend, the consistency of it doesn't fit an affair pattern. It fits something else. Something she doesn't want you to know about but isn't necessarily cheating. Like what? Could be anything. Therapy. MLM scheme. Gambling problem. Secret second job. Is money missing from your accounts? I checked. No unusual withdrawals beyond the restaurant charges. Nothing missing. Then I think you need to just ask her. What if she lies? Then you'll know she's willing to lie to your face, and that's information too. That night, after Emma was in bed, I sat Sarah down. My heart was pounding. I need to ask you something and I need you to be honest with me. She looked up from her book, concerned. Okay, your book club. The wine bar you told me about, the Reserve, it's been closed for a year. I watched her face carefully. She blinked. Then her expression crumpled into something I'd never seen before, genuine fear. How did you? She started, then stopped. Her hands were trembling. You followed me. I needed to know what was going on. You've been lying to me for 8 months. It's not what you think. I don't know what to think, Sarah. Just tell me the truth. She was crying now, silently, tears running down her face. I can't. You can't? Are you serious right now? Please, just trust me. I'm not having an affair. I'm not doing anything illegal or dangerous. I need you to trust me. I stood up. That's not good enough. You've been lying to me for 8 months. You're sneaking around, spending money, meeting people. If you can't tell me what's going on, then I don't know what our marriage is. Don't say that. She was sobbing now. Please, give me 2 weeks. I swear, I'll explain everything in 2 weeks. Please. 2 weeks? Why 2 weeks? I just need 2 more weeks. Please, honey. Please. I've never seen her so desperate, so frightened. Against my better judgment, I said, fine. 2 weeks. But if you don't tell me everything, I'm taking Emma and staying with my parents. She nodded, wiping her eyes. Thank you. I'm so sorry. I love you so much. That was a week ago. The longest week of my life. This Thursday, Sarah went to her book club again. I didn't follow her. What would be the point? I already know she's lying. I'm just waiting for the 2 weeks to be up so I can finally get answers. But then tonight everything changed again. I was giving Emma a bath when I heard Sarah come home early, around 8:30. I heard her on the phone downstairs, her voice raised in a way I rarely heard it. Can't believe you would do that. No, absolutely not. I don't care what she said, that's completely inappropriate. Well then she can drop out. No, you tell her. I got Emma out of the bath, dried her off, tucked her in. Went downstairs. Sarah was sitting at the kitchen table, head in her hands. Everything okay? She looked up. Her eyes were red. Amy's being a nightmare. Sorry, book club drama. Book club drama. Right. Sarah, I said slowly, I thought we agreed no more lies. I'm not, she stopped. Closed her eyes. In 9 days. I promise. I couldn't take it anymore. Give me your phone. What? Your phone. Right now. Give it to me or I'm calling a divorce lawyer in the morning. We stared at each other. Finally, she unlocked her phone and handed it to me. I opened her messages. Scrolled through. Found a group chat called Thursday Group. 6 members. I clicked on it. What I saw made absolutely no sense. The messages weren't about affairs or secrets or anything scandalous. They were about meetings, schedules. There were references to sessions and progress and this week's topic. Someone named Diane had sent, "Can't make it next week, root canal." Someone named Laura had responded with a sympathetic emoji. I scrolled up. Weeks and weeks of messages. And then I found one from 3 months ago, from Sarah. I told my husband I'm at book club. He seems fine with it. Another member, the one saved as Jennifer, same. It's easier than explaining. I looked up at Sarah. What is this? She was crying again. Please don't be angry. What is this? She took a shaky breath. It's a support group. A support group for what? For. She closed her eyes. For women whose husbands are difficult to live with. I felt like I'd been punched. Excuse me? No, wait, that came out wrong. It's not, it's more specific than that. It's for women whose husbands have certain tendencies. Who need help dealing with specific relationship patterns. What the fuck are you talking about? What tendencies? She was sobbing now. You're going to be so hurt and I'm so sorry. Sarah. It's for women married to men with undiagnosed ADHD. I sat down heavily. What? It took an hour for Sarah to explain everything, interrupted by both of us crying. The book club was actually a support group, unofficial, unaffiliated with any organization, for women dealing with the specific challenges of being married to men with undiagnosed or untreated ADHD. The group had been started 5 years ago by a therapist named Diane, not her patient group, just something she facilitated as a volunteer. They met weekly to discuss strategies, vent frustrations, share successes, and support each other. Why didn't you just tell me? I asked. Because I knew how you'd react. You'd be defensive and hurt and you'd say you don't have ADHD and I was pathologizing you. And I just needed space to figure out how to cope without making you feel attacked. But I don't have ADHD. She looked at me with exhausted patience. Honey, yes, you do. No, I don't. I'd know if I had ADHD. Would you? Did you know that you interrupt people constantly but don't realize you're doing it? That you start projects and never finish them? That you hyper-focus on work for 12 hours and forget to eat? That you can't find important documents because you put them down, just for a second, and then they disappear? That you're always late because you think you have more time than you do? That you say you'll do something and genuinely mean it but then completely forget? That you. Okay, my voice was small, but that's just me. That's my personality. It's not personality, it's neurodevelopment. And it affects our marriage, our parenting, everything. I'm exhausted, honey. I've been compensating for years and I didn't even realize it until Jennifer. That's her real name by the way. Told me about the group. How did you meet Jennifer? She's a teacher at my school. We were having lunch one day and I was venting about something you'd done. I don't even remember what. And she just looked at me and said, "Has he ever been evaluated for ADHD?" And I laughed it off, but she kept talking, and everything she described was our life. So she invited me to the group. Just to observe. And I sat there listening to these women describe their lives and it was like they were describing mine. The mental load. The emotional labor. The constant reminding and planning and compensating. The feeling like I was married to a wonderful man who also sometimes felt like a forgetful teenager. I couldn't speak. I felt like my entire identity was being rewritten. I should have told you, Sarah continued. I know that, but I was afraid you'd shut down, and I needed to understand it myself first. I needed strategies. I needed to know I wasn't crazy or ungrateful. These women saved our marriage, and you didn't even know it was in danger. It was in danger? She nodded, tears streaming down. I was drowning. I was so tired. And I love you so much but I was starting to resent you, and I didn't want to. So I went to the group and I learned and I came home and I implemented things and I figured out how to help you without enabling you and I was going to tell you everything, I swear. I was waiting until 2 weeks. What happens in 2 weeks? She gave a watery laugh. We have a guest speaker. A psychiatrist who specializes in adult ADHD diagnosis. I was going to ask you to come with me. To just hear what he had to say. I had this whole speech planned. We sat in silence for a long time. So you're not having an affair, I finally said. I'm not having an affair. And you don't hate me. I could never hate you. I'm trying to save us. By going to a secret support group. Yes. For 8 months. Yes. Because you think I have ADHD. I know you have ADHD. I put my head in my hands. This is the weirdest affair revealed that never was. She laughed, surprised. Then I laughed. Then we were both crying and laughing and holding each other. That was 3 hours ago. Sarah's asleep now. I'm in the Denny's parking lot because I needed to drive and think and process, and I ended up here. I've been doing research on my phone for the past hour. Articles about adult ADHD. Symptom lists. I check almost every box. How did I not know this? How did I go 34 years without anyone noticing? Sarah said that's part of the problem. I'm smart and high functioning, so I developed coping mechanisms. But the coping mechanisms require enormous energy, and the things I can't cope with, Sarah's been managing without me realizing. I feel like I should be angry about the lying, but mostly I'm just sad. And relieved? And embarrassed. And grateful. My wife joined a secret support group to learn how to love me better. And I thought she was having an affair. I'm going to that meeting in 2 weeks. I'm going to talk to the psychiatrist. And I'm going to figure out how to be a better partner to the woman who's been carrying both of us for years. But first, I'm going to go home and thank her. Thanks for reading this absolute novel. I just needed to write it all out. Update. Holy shit, this blew up. I can't respond to everyone, but I've read every comment and I'm overwhelmed by the support and shared experiences. A few people called me an asshole for considering divorce before knowing the full story, and you know what? Fair. I was hurt and scared and not thinking clearly. Some updates. I went home that night and Sarah and I talked until 4 a.m. Really talked. She told me specific examples of how my ADHD affects her, the emotional labor of managing my schedule, the anxiety of wondering if I'll forget important things, the exhaustion of having to do all the planning because I forget, or don't notice, what needs to be done. It was hard to hear but necessary. I called my mom the next day. Told her what Sarah had said and asked if she'd ever suspected anything. Mom got really quiet and then said, "Oh honey. Your father has the same thing. Undiagnosed. I've been managing it for 40 years. Apparently there's a family history that no one ever named because my dad's generation doesn't believe in that stuff." This explained so much about my childhood. I reached out to my doctor about getting evaluated. First available appointment is in 3 weeks, but I'm on a cancellation list. Sarah introduced me, via Zoom, to some of the women from the group and their husbands who've gotten diagnosed and treated. Hearing other men describe their experiences was emotional. One guy said getting diagnosed and medicated was like getting glasses for his brain, and I'm really hoping I get to experience that. I apologized to Sarah for not noticing, for making her carry everything, for making her feel like she needed a secret support group. She apologized for lying. We agreed to go to couples counseling to work through this with professional help. The blonde woman I saw Sarah with at the restaurant? That's Jennifer, who started Sarah in the group. They've become genuine friends, and I'm meeting her and her husband for dinner next week. Some people asked about Amy from the phone call. Turns out Amy's husband recently got diagnosed and started medication, and apparently he's going through some emotional stuff processing what the diagnosis means, which I totally get now. Amy was venting to the group about his reaction and Jennifer thought she was being insensitive, hence the argument. The weirdest part of all this? I'm not even mad about the lying anymore. I'm just grateful. Grateful Sarah didn't give up on me. Grateful she found resources. Grateful I know now and can do something about it. To everyone who shared their own ADHD stories or stories about being married to someone with ADHD, thank you. I've saved like 50 comments to refer back to. This neurospicy journey is apparently very common and I'm not alone. We'll update again after the appointment and the support group meeting. Sarah's already making jokes about how I'm going to forget the appointment, fair, so she's putting it in my calendar with 6 reminders. Thanks, Reddit. You're weirdly wholesome sometimes. Update 2. Okay, I promised an update and here it is. Buckle up because the past 3 weeks have been a lot. First, the diagnosis. I saw a psychiatrist who specializes in adult ADHD. It was a 3-hour evaluation, questionnaires, interviews, cognitive tests, the works. Sarah came with me for part of it to give her perspective on my symptoms. Official diagnosis: ADHD, combined type, both inattentive and hyperactive presentations, moderate to severe. When the doctor explained the results, I genuinely cried. Not because I was upset, because I was relieved. My whole life, I thought I was lazy, or selfish, or broken somehow. Teachers always said I wasn't living up to my potential. My dad used to yell at me for being spacey. I thought I was just a fuck-up who happened to be good at computers. Turns out my brain is just wired differently. And there's treatment. I started on medication 2 weeks ago, stimulant, won't specify which for privacy. The doctor warned me it might take time to find the right dose and medication. The first day I took it, I sat at my desk at work and worked. For 3 hours straight. Focused. Without checking my phone every 5 minutes or getting distracted by random Wikipedia rabbit holes or suddenly deciding to reorganize my desk drawer. I called Sarah during lunch and said, "Is this what normal people feel like all the time?" She laughed and cried and said, "Welcome to the neurotypical experience, honey. It's not perfect. Some days the medication works better than others. I'm still figuring out the right dose. But the difference is noticeable. I'm forgetting things less. I'm able to start and finish tasks. I'm listening better in conversations, actually hearing what people say instead of planning my response while they're still talking." Sarah says the biggest change she's noticed is emotional. I'm less reactive, less defensive, more present. Yesterday I cleaned the kitchen without her asking and she looked at me like I'd performed a miracle. Second, the support group meeting. 2 weeks ago, Sarah and I went to the Thursday group together. I was nervous as hell. Imagine meeting your wife's secret club and they all know things about you that you didn't know about yourself. But they were wonderful. There were 5 other couples there, plus Diane, the therapist who facilitates, and the guest psychiatrist. Everyone shared their stories. I heard about men who'd lost jobs because of missed deadlines, marriages that almost ended, kids who inherited ADHD and nobody realized until adulthood. The psychiatrist's talk was eye-opening. He explained how ADHD isn't about being hyper or unable to focus, it's about irregular attention regulation. We can focus, sometimes too much, 16-hour coding sessions, but we can't always choose what we focus on. He talked about emotional dysregulation, rejection sensitivity, time blindness. Every symptom felt like he was describing my inner experience, things I'd never had words for. After the talk, one of the wives came up to me and said, "Thank you for being open to this. My husband refused to get evaluated for 3 years. We almost divorced." Her husband overheard and added, "Getting diagnosed saved my life. Literally. I was having suicidal thoughts because I thought I was worthless. Turns out I just had an undermanaged neurological condition." That hit hard. Third, and this is the big one, I owe these women an apology. During the meeting, they went around sharing what brought them to the group. Every single story included phrases like, "I felt like I was going crazy," and "I thought I was the problem," and "I was so tired of being the only adult in the relationship." I thought about Sarah carrying all that, feeling all that, for years before she found this group. And I got emotional. When it was my turn to speak, I said, "I'm sorry. To all of you. For not noticing, for not seeing what you were dealing with. Sarah, especially. I'm sorry I made our marriage so hard. I'm sorry you needed a secret group to survive being married to me." Sarah squeezed my hand. "You didn't make it hard on purpose. That's the point. This isn't about blame." Jennifer, the blonde woman, who I've now properly met, said, "The fact that you're here means everything. Half the battle is getting our husbands to even consider the possibility of ADHD. You're doing the work." One of the other wives joked, "Also, for the record, we do actually discuss books sometimes. We're not total frauds." Everyone laughed. The tension broke. Here's what I've learned. These women aren't villains for needing support. They're not betraying their husbands by venting to each other. They're surviving. They're finding ways to stay in their marriages with men they genuinely love, despite very real challenges. The alternative isn't, just communicate better. The alternative is divorce, resentment, or complete burnout. Sarah didn't join a group to bash me. She joined a group to save us. And I'm grateful beyond words. Fourth, my marriage is better. Significantly better. The mental load has shifted. I've taken over managing certain household tasks that Sarah's been doing forever. I put Emma's activities in my phone calendar with reminders. I set up autopay for bills. I check the grocery list before shopping. Small things that add up. Sarah seems lighter, happier, less stressed. We're having actual conversations again instead of her just managing me. And our sex life has improved. Yes, really. Turns out when your wife isn't exhausted from parenting a grown man alongside an actual child, she has more energy for intimacy. Who knew? 5th. Emma. This is the part that makes me emotional. The other night, Emma was having trouble with her homework. She kept getting distracted, frustrated with herself. I recognized the feeling immediately. I sat with her and said, "Em, do you feel like your brain wants to think about lots of things at the same time?" She nodded, tears in her eyes. "I'm trying to focus but I can't." "That's okay. Daddy's brain does that too. We're going to figure out how to help you. Sarah and I are going to have her evaluated. If she has ADHD, which seems likely given the genetic component, we'll catch it early. She won't spend 30 years thinking she's broken like I did." Watching Sarah tear up as I helped Emma through her homework, I realized what this whole journey has been about: breaking cycles. Being better. Seeing what's really there instead of what we assume. 6th. The Reddit aftermath. Some of you messaged me with your own stories. One guy said reading my post prompted him to get evaluated, and he was just diagnosed at 42. Another woman said she sent my post to her husband and it finally convinced him to see someone. A few people said they recognized their own relationships in Sarah's experience and were looking into support groups. If this post helped even one person, then the weirdness of sharing my marital drama with thousands of strangers was worth it. Some of you were critical, said I was making excuses, that ADHD isn't an excuse for being a bad partner, that Sarah shouldn't have had to beg me to be an adult. You're not entirely wrong. ADHD explains things but doesn't excuse them. I still had to do the work. Medication helps but it's not magic. I still have to be intentional, try harder, set up systems. But also, I didn't know. I genuinely didn't know what I didn't know. And now that I do, I can change. That's all any of us can do. Final thoughts. 3 weeks ago I was sitting in a Denny's parking lot thinking my marriage was over. Tonight I'm sitting on the couch with my wife, watching her grade papers while I do actual focused work beside her, and Emma's asleep upstairs, and life feels possible in a way it hasn't in years. The book club that wasn't a book club saved my marriage. The secret support group my wife hid from me for 8 months turned out to be an act of love. Sometimes the thing you think is the end is actually the beginning. To everyone dealing with ADHD, diagnosed or not, you're not broken. Your brain works differently and that comes with challenges, but also strengths. Get help. Do the work. Don't make your partner do it alone. To partners of people with ADHD, you're not crazy. What you're experiencing is real. Find support, Reddit, therapy, IRL groups, whatever you need. You can't pour from an empty cup. And to Sarah, who will definitely read this because I told her I was posting an update, I love you. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for finding a way forward when I didn't even know we were stuck. Thank you for the secret book club. I'm going to spend the rest of our lives trying to be the partner you deserve. And maybe occasionally remembering to put the milk back in the fridge without being reminded. Thanks, Reddit. This community is weird and wonderful and I'm grateful. Edit. Someone asked if I'm keeping the nickname, Book Club, or if we're calling it what it is now. Sarah and I talked about it and we've decided to keep calling it, Book Club, with the full support group occasionally. Mostly because Emma knows mommy goes to book club on Thursdays, and it's just easier. Plus, at this point, it's become a private joke between us. Last Thursday Sarah kissed me goodbye and said, "Off to book club," and I said, "Tell the girls I said hi. And that I'm doing my own laundry now." She laughed so hard she snorted. Some things are worth keeping, even the lies that weren't really lies, just truths waiting for the right time to be told. Edit 2. To the person who DM'd me asking for the contact info for the support group so their wife could join, I checked with Sarah and Jennifer. They said the group works because it's small, local, and built on trust. But Jennifer suggested looking into ADHD partner groups or searching for local CHAD, children and adults with ADHD, chapters, which often have partner support groups. There's also an online community called ADHD Partners that's supposed to be good. Don't give up, support is out there. Also, I promised I'd mention this. If you're reading this and thinking, wait, This sounds like my life. Please consider getting evaluated. Adult ADHD is incredibly underdiagnosed, especially in people who did well academically, because we develop compensation strategies early. The evaluation changed my life. It could change yours too. Okay, I'm really done now. Time to close the laptop and be present with my family. Thanks for coming on this weird journey with me, Reddit. You're the best secret book club a guy could ask for. Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double check responses.